Will, welcome back, man.
I'm back. We are so back.
We're so back. So, what was your favorite kids movie growing up?
It was the 1995 Power Rangers first movie where...
The one with Ivan Ooze?
The one with Ivan Ooze, which I remember you told me, we reviewed a movie, and you're like, oh, by the way, it was Indiana Jones. It was the first Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You're like, the bad guy, by the way, the French bad guy, that's Ivan Ooze, and it blew my fucking mind. But I remember seeing that movie a couple times in theater. Both my mom and my dad, who were separate at this point in time in my life, had taken me to go see it. And I remember even like the McDonald's like Happy Meal toys, where it was a small figure in a like car version of their Zoid.
Oh yeah,
it was fucking cool. Or Zord, excuse me. And
I just had all of those because those were the Power Ranger toys I could afford. Was that Happy Meals?
Exactly. And I just have so many fond memories of it. I remember rewatching it when like right before that new one that came out in like what 2018?
Oh, like the reboot one with who played like the Rita character in that one? It was somebody big.
It was
Banks.
it's Elizabeth Banks. Yeah. And I just remember rewatching it and being like, God, this is so fucking bad. I love it. Like, the guy who played Ivan Ooze was like eating up the fucking
he's having so much fucking fun.
It's so good.
From a bleeding television broadcasting from the planet Gygax, welcome to Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my co-host Will Taylor. On the show, of course, we explore both new and familiar movies as we bring you details and discussion about them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. Today's episode, a comedic collage of horror, sci-fi, and children's action-adventure flicks in the film Psycho Goreman. Stay tuned.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells.
Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Okay, welcome back. I'd like to introduce our guest today, the great Alex. Would you like me to use your last name?
Yeah.
What is your last name?
My last name is Megna.
Megna.
Yes.
Alex, the great Alex Megna. I know you as Molten
Hot Megna.
Molten Hot Megna. Oh, that explains the name.
Yes.
Okay.
It was actually a nickname given to me by someone in high school. They used to call me Molten Hot Megna.
That's good. None of my nicknames from high school I would like to recall. They're not fun. So at least you got a really nice one. I'm happy for you.
That's one of the good ones I always get. There's definitely some bad ones.
I think mine have a lot of slurs that I don't use. So
yeah.
What the fuck, dude? That's funny.
By the way, before I forget,
yes,
I've been giving out an email address for the podcast.
Oh, has it always been wrong?
And it has been wrong.
The whole time?
The whole time. I'm so sorry.
Wait, is it?
Oh my God.
I don't even want to repeat it, but
is
it was
Debaser at birdfuck.com?
Oh my God. I don't own Birdfuck. Don't email Birdfuck. That's a different podcast. I'm so glad I have a Doughboys fan on the show with me.
Oh no, I'm getting replaced. I can literally see it.
Listen, he will.
We already talked about my compensation while you were.
Oh no! Whenever I make a Doughboys reference on the pod, he'll like message me on Instagram. Be like, "I love that shout out." I'm like, "Oh, at least somebody got it."
That's good.
Go ahead.
I had sent a meme to Will, and then he forwarded it to you.
I did.
It was from a podcast person. We both listened to it, and he goes, "Oh, Jared says he knows this guy." I was like, "Of course he does."
Yeah, that did happen.
Okay, our actual email address is debaserpod@gmail.com. I had Courtney shout it out in the last episode.
What was it previously?
I don't even want to say it because it's wrong. And I don't want people to get confused.
Okay.
So I got to redo the outro that I do at the end of every episode.
Nice.
And if people even make it that far, maybe they never heard of it, Because like maybe everyone turns off the show by the time that happens.
Maybe.
They hear the music fading out and they're like, I'm done.
Thank God. It's over.
But if you would like to contact us and you don't want to just message us on social media or whatever, it's debaserpod@gmail.com. And I apologize for having that wrong in the past. I thought I had set up the email address and I never did. I had a totally different email address for our domain So I just set up a Gmail account because it's fucking free, whatever. I'm not paying anybody for this one now.
That's fantastic. I love
Now
that.
you guys are going to get the Squarespace ads. They're going to come to the right place.
Yes, I would love to do, I'll do Squarespace. I'll do, what's the
MeUndies?
MeUndies.
Do they still do that?
Hold on.
I haven't heard of
MeUndies
MeUndies.
sponsors this, I will put MeUndies on, and you can post a picture of my ass on Instagram and the front button.
We will
padding.
show ass and feet.
We will show ass and feet for free on Instagram.
I'll also do, what's the
save it for the
telehealth?
Patreon guys. Come on.
No,
You gotta
that's
put
right.
that
Yeah, it's not
on
for
the
free.
theater.
It's not
Yeah,
for free. I'll do the telehealth one that like is super bad, you know, where it's like the psychologist over the phone, but apparently it's really fucking shitty.
It's not good.
Yeah. What is that one called though? It's like the most common podcast like ad that I always hear though. BetterHelp. That's
BetterHelp,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. That one's apparently very bad.
Oh, what's the other scummy one? The Scottish land one.
Oh, where you can buy like
a parcel of
and then you can be like a
lord.
Yeah,
A lord of
a
Scotland.
lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, hey, listen, I have a star. I don't know about you guys.
I don't have a star.
I have a star registry.
Nice.
Okay. Let's roll right into it. Alex, you're here today because we're talking about a very special movie. It's
Yes.
called PG, subtitle Psycho Goreman. I think what they're doing there is it trying to sound like a parental guidance, like a children's rating,
Yeah.
even though this is a hard R movie.
Yes. Yeah. It's very aware of itself.
Right.
It knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that I actually went and listened to some interviews with the director for this movie.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things he said. I wanted to make a movie like these movies that when I was a kid that were like these PG,
Right.
kids movies.
Not unlike the aforementioned Power Rangers movie
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Will is such a fan of.
And also, there's some from the 80s and everything, movies like Monster Squad, which are
Yes.
made for kids that are these kind of like weird, kind of like
Right.
crossover kind of, I don't know.
Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, Wolfman does have nerds. But, you look at kids' movies from back there, and they weren't afraid to traumatize people.
Right.
Like,
Oh, absolutely E.T.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's still terrifying.
I mean, but he's become a trans icon. Let's face it, E.T. walked so RuPaul could run.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, I was in Rode the Ride recently, and, they have that E.T. in drag picture up. And I was like, DeSantos can't even make me take this down.
That's right. Yeah.
He's out
We
in
stand a legend.
We stand at illegal transgendered aliens.
Didn't even think of that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Well, Psycho Goreman was released October 7th, 2020. It is available to stream on AMC Plus and on the Shudder app.
Mm-hmm.
The film stars Nita Josie Hanna. Maybe
Okay.
it just looks more difficult than it is. Owen Meyer and Adam Brooks. And the general premise is after unearthing a gem that controls an evil monster looking to destroy the universe, a young girl and her brother use it to make him do their bidding. Now, the film was written and directed by Steven Kostanski. He is a makeup artist and director that's made many low-budget horror films like The Void, Leprechaun Returns.
He did The Void?
He did The Void.
Oh,
I think
good
that's his
movie.
biggest movie outside of Psycho Goreman.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He also did Leprechaun Returns, which I don't think is one of the better Leprechaun movies. Alex, have you seen this one?
Leprechaun Returns?
Yeah, he did that.
Oh,
one,
no.
apparently.
After the first one, they're all garbage.
Even Leprechaun in the Hood?
I rewatched Leprechaun in Space recently.
I forgot he went to space too. Wow.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's pretty rough.
I did like
And not
those
even like,
movies when I
hey,
was
it's
little.
enjoyable, bad camp.
Right.
Like, it's like, yeah, it's just bad. But
Yeah, oof.
they're great to just watch, but they're,
Yeah.
they're aware of what they are.
He also made a new film, which just came out this month,
Oh, no shit. What?
called Frankie Frico. Were you aware of this?
No,
Alex?
I wasn't. He actually, I'll mention this now so I don't forget. He has a short film that he made called BioCop. And the character that appears later in the movie
Yep. The cop that he turns into like his little like
is
servant, yeah.
BioCop. So it's his throwback to that.
Oh wait, in Psycho Goreman, the rotting cop,
Yeah.
the cop that's like, kill me, please.
That's
Yeah.
fucking baller. I love it.
I checked out the trailer for Frankie Frico. I'm interested to see it. It looks like his take on like Gremlins, but even more.
Is it streaming or is it going to be?
It's in theaters right now.
Oh,
I think
no
it's
shit.
about to come to streaming because I think it came out like the beginning of the month, so I think it's about to hit streaming any day
Gotcha.
now. Probably by the time you hear this episode, it might be available on demand. So the budget for Psycho Goreman isn't officially available, but I did find a reported figure of $670,000.
God damn.
Yes, he made this sub $1 million. And now I feel like it looks great.
Yeah,
so
it
I feel
does.
like he did everything. What am I trying to say?
He used
put every dollar on screen.
I was gonna say,
I think we use that
the
phrase
entirety of the budget.
Right. He's stretching his budget here.
He actually, in an interview that I listened to, he talked about how he managed the budget in the scene where his there's some other characters that show up that he has a relationship with, his like Dark Triad.
Yeah.
the
There
squad.
was supposed to be a guy named Tyson. And someone was like, is it just a dude? And he said, no, it was an acronym for something. But it never got off the page because he realized, looking at the budget for those characters, he wanted to reel it in a bit.
Right.
So.
Okay.
All right, kill your darlings. He had to kill Tyson.
But the film was released to theaters and to video on demand simultaneously because it was like right in the middle of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
But the film did gross $137,000 at the box office. But again, it was a simultaneous release during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Things are weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's really a mark upon it for its financial performance. Now, Psycho Goreman, or PG, has a Rotten Tomato score of 92%.
Hell yeah, let's go.
So it is a critical
dude.
darling. In his review of Psycho Goreman, film critic Brian Eggert wrote, "It's an absurdist oddity, a ghastly movie with costume monsters and excessive slapstick gore, yet it resists the abrasive edge of a trauma production and feels abnormally silly."
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Similarly, Kat Hughes praised the film in her review, saying, "With makeup and special effects that are out of this galaxy, Psycho Goreman is a gleefully gory gem that adds a very adult spin on children's fantasy films of the late 80s and early 90s. And I feel like we hit on that already.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Over on Letterboxd, user Griffin gave the film 3.5 stars and wrote, "Mimi, not really for Mimi, but Psycho Goreman can sit right on this hunky boy's face."
It's not Griffin from Blank Check, is it?
No, sadly, it is not Griffin Newman.
Damn.
They
That would have been
stand for
fun.
Cranch. Is
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually happy that you brought that specific one up because when I talked to Alex, because I hit him up shortly after finishing the film, I was like, "Hey man, I finally watched Psycho Goreman. I loved it. It was great." And we talked about like some of the characters and whatnot, and you were saying like people hate Mimi.
Yes, Mimi's very divisive. When I was scrolling through the Letterboxd reviews, a lot of people were talking shit about Mimi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't like to put labels on anyone, but I think it's very clear that Mimi has a touch of the tism, I would say. and
She's got that dog in her.
Yeah, she got that dog in her. And I'm not saying that in any kind of derogatory way, but I think she's adorable to watch, and I think it gives real depth to the character. That
Right.
There are people like this, because I watch this person and I go, I remember that shitty kid if I was not a little bit of that shitty kid growing up.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly agree with Alex. I think that she makes the movie. I think she's
No, I agree, yeah.
I mean, this is a movie where two people break religious icons. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I completely
And I
forgot.
was like-
She starts to pray and is like, "Wait a minute, what am I doing?"
Yeah. At the beginning of the movie, when he talks about how he got his power, you see him crush this thing. And then I realized watching the movie later that, this is really kind of the bond between them. Is they're really these people that do not give a fuck about anyone else but themselves.
And they've rejected all authority.
Yeah. But that's also what ties them together, is they have to rely on each other too. And so maybe PG has a touch of autism too.
yeah, but his hyper fixation is murder.
Yeah. Well, he does say, after, I don't know if we want to get into this, his hunger for gore was never slaked. So
there you go.
I remember the first time I watched this movie, at first I was a little off-put by the protagonist, Mimi, that we're talking about.
Okay.
But then it, very quickly I warmed up to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's because on the page, on the script, she's annoying, but the actress sells it.
Yeah.
So she's so spunky
Yes.
and so self-assured
Yeah.
for what is she supposed to be, 11 or 12? Maybe?
Yeah, she's like a young tomboyish kid who's got way too much energy.
Yeah.
And she's so reminiscent of any of those types of kids in the 90s. Fuck, she's almost like Amanda Bynes on the Amanda Show. Like that kind of
she's
energy,
she's selling it so well that I couldn't not like her. I was like, she's fucking endearing. I can't help it. But it's I saw somebody describe this movie as it's aware that it's cringe. And I was like, I disagree. I don't think it's cringe at all. What the fuck? It's schlocky. It's a little B movie. It's self-aware.
Yeah, it knows that.
But it's not cringe.
No.
This isn't what cringe is,
Yeah.
No, I think that I think it has a good balance, and I think that if they did lean into it one way or too much, it could have been a little cringy, but it didn't do that.
Yeah.
If I could get back to something we're talking about,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if Will is aware, but my mom worked on the Power Rangers movie.
No, you told me. You told me this. Yes.
You guys have been very pro-union, which I appreciate. My mom is actually part of IATSE Local 80.
Hell yeah.
She
Shout
worked
out.
on 8 seasons of Power Rangers.
Wow.
Fuck
movies
yeah, let's go.
And she did season 2 and 8 of Power Rangers. Those were the ones she was on.
Cool.
And then 10. She just worked on NCIS, Hot in Cleveland, Last Man Standing, The Neighborhood, and she worked on The House of Sand and Fog.
Wow.
And so my mom is in craft service. She's essentially the person that feeds everyone on the sets.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
excellent.
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That's awesome.
people could be getting hungry.
Oh, yeah. People be getting hungry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she the way that she got her job, like got it. So Power Rangers wasn't a union gig.
Yeah.
And she was friends with the producer that worked on the show. And the first craft service person that got accidentally gave hepatitis to a bunch of the crew members, and they had to shut down production.
What
She ended up coming in later
Oh my
to help
God.
them.
That's
and,
insane.
replace them.
And let that be a lesson why you don't scab, you know?
That's right. You never fucking scab, dude.
That's why we didn't cover movie like Hollywood productions
That's right.
during the strike.
That's right. Even
That
though
was-
we're not members.
So it's it was a strange experience to have, but definitely something I really appreciate. I remember going into the studio, the front room. So when they would ship the suits over from Japan, and they would actually end up writing, kind of adapting what they had filmed in the Japanese version, the fights and everything, to what they filmed in the States. But sometimes the suits would show up and they had melted in
Oh,
the crates,
God.
and they
Oh,
were
fuck.
damaged. So
Yeah.
they would have these scripts they couldn't use, and they'd have to adjust these things. So
Yeah.
and the lobby, when you would come in, there was a staircase, and the whole front lobby was glass. And they had a little, almost kind of shelf out with the second floor. I don't, typically people put plants or something there. They had actual suits that they had been damaged sitting there because they were like, oh, okay, we'll show these off.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a really interesting thing to grow up around, just to be there, walking through the Angel Grove High, set, walking through the command center.
That's so cool.
And then when that show moved to New Zealand, that studio actually got moved over for NCIS. So it was funny because where Angel Grove High School was, now there was a morgue, so it's kind of this weird thing growing up, being a kid, seeing this thing. And then as I became a teenager, my mom working on NCIS and then coming into kind of more mature show, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the fact that this movie in a way is kind of like a Sentai Power Ranger horror movie was very appealing to me.
Yeah.
It felt a little at home and nostalgic.
Same. And actually, I was sad that I could not have been here for I Saw the TV Glow because I really enjoyed it. But I think that Courtney did a way better job than I ever could have on that one. But just a quick takeaway. Part of that felt like Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Me,
When we see particularly the pink opaque scenes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Marco Polo.
I had mentioned that to you too.
Yeah. Especially when they do when Owen is checking it out on streaming as an adult.
Yeah.
And he's like,
looks-
it's not how I remember it. And it just is literally a really bad episode of Power Rangers or something that's just oh no. And there's a giant foam monster.
so good. I love that shit.
God, I wanted to talk about that movie, but we got to get to
No,
this.
we gotta talk about PG, baby.
So this movie operates on this level where it's you're in on the joke with it, that everything's a little bit. Alex, I think earlier off pod you used campy. I think campy is
that can't be true because Will likes this movie and he hates camp.
Thank you, Alex. I think this
How
is
could this happen, Jared? How could this happen?
Yeah, how could I enjoy fun, Jared? Explain that one to me. This movie is fun, and yet I liked it. Ergo, it's not fun.
Maybe you're
does
faking it
not
just so
like
this
it.
episode
He is
isn't a big
faking
fight.
it.
I don't know.
No,
He
this is-
realized that after ditching me for 2 years that he has to like something I like. and this is what he
bingo.
pulled it
Exactly.
back.
I got to get myself back in a good.
Didn't want
graces
to
with Alex.
have any awkward tension in the room, so he's like, "Yeah, I'll just say I fucking like Psycho Goreman." God.
No, I enjoyed this movie. It was very
Or
funny.
he
and
read
fun.
a bad review and he was like, I'm going to contradict this
Yeah,
person.
there you
and I
go.
don't like
Our
this
contrarian
movie."
Will.
Yeah.
Y'all are killing me. Killing me.
It's
why I
a light
guessed on the roast
It's
you.
a light
Yeah.
roast.
Yeah.
Come on.
You were the Mike Mitchell of this podcast. Another
I don't even know who that
reference
is.
he's not going to
Oh
get.
my god, I'm getting replaced. I can fucking see it. Just kiss already.
Yeah, well, no, he likes the new Star Wars movies. So
I
he
do.
can't
That's
be
true.
like
Yeah, he's not
Mike
going to rail
Mitchell. Oh
against
my
Last
God.
Jedi and wokeness and vote for Trump and be at the insurrection.
Holy fuck. Guys, let's talk about Psycho Goreman.
So I just for the viewers that don't know, I work in the theme park industry. I've actually worked building a lot of systems for theme parks and everything. And it's interesting to listen to a podcast where they actually talk shit about something that you've been involved in and talk about like, you pour months into something, years of your life. And then to have some podcasters you really like be like, they could have done this thing instead and it would have been better. It's like, oh, well, it's too bad you didn't make that.
Are you talking about the Furious or the Fast and Furious ride at Universal?
No, like Nintendo Land. I'll hear people, complain about, some things about Nintendo Land and Star Wars and stuff. The thing is, like, everyone wants these things to be what they were and feel the way they were when they were a kid.
Right.
And that's another big part of this movie, too, is like, it captures that feeling of those weird movies. What's that movie with the kid from Jurassic Park? He was in that weird...
What, are you talking about Tim? The kid who played Tim?
I was saying, this is a Will question. Yeah.
This is another movie, and it's kind of like this movie.
Like, I'm going to pull it up.
While he's doing that, since you brought up Jurassic Park, did you catch that when Psycho Goreman is wearing human clothes when he's like incognito at the school playground?
Is he Dotson?
He's wearing Sam Neill's outfit from Jurassic Park.
Oh my fucking God, I did not catch that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, I did not catch that.
Alex, do you listen to Podcast The Ride ever?
I do.
You're aware? Okay, yeah.
But my problem with Podcast The Ride is I'm too close to some of the things they talk about.
I can understand
So there's some things that they'll talk about that I have knowledge about. There's some things that they talk about where they'll have a hot take that's like I disagree with. My favorite episode, though, is they made a guy walk around with his phone on. And they put Nick Weiger on the phone, so he had a 3D experience of visiting City Walk.
Yeah.
Then when they did that whole City Walk experience, I now work for Universal. I work in the tech services department. So
Star Kid? He was Star Kid?
Yeah, Star Kid. That's the movie.
Wow.
And this movie is very reminiscent of Star Kid.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! I have not thought about Star Kid in a gorillion years.
Did you guys ever see those weird Guyver movies that were on HBO too? That's another one that I went back and revisited. It's guys in suits. Guyver's an anime manga series in Japan that they adapted for some reason in the States. The Japanese company that published it, I think, helped produce the film for...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I didn't see the live action ones.
Yeah, the guy voices Salt. David Hayter plays the main character in the second movie, which they went for like more of a darker take on it. The first movie is a little bit more trying to be a kid's movie.
Yeah.
But they're interesting movies. But you go back and see stuff from the 90s now, like you go back and revisit Last Action Hero and some of these things, and you're like, these were so out of their times.
Yeah.
Everyone hated them.
I actually recently bought the 4K re-release of Last Action Hero, and that movie, man, I know it like bombed at the time. That movie's insane, though.
Yeah.
It is doing so much shit, and it really predicted a lot of like I know it was criticizing like what Hollywood was like at the time, but it feels so much more apt now.
Oh yeah.
Like, man, shout out Last Action Hero. That's a great movie. I did not appreciate it as a kid either. Like, I thought it was so weird and campy, and I remember revisiting it like a couple years ago and thinking, man, this movie's fucking great.
Dude, I remember renting Star Kid on Blockbuster, and the only thing I can remember from that movie is he has to piss real bad, and he has to figure out a combination he has to press in his crotch so that he could piss, and that's the only thing I remember from that movie.
Okay, I remember, if this is the movie I'm thinking of, this is the only scene I can recall, and I never knew what the movie was, but is this the movie where he's in like this spacesuit and he has to eat, and the machine is like, the suit is talking to him, and it's like, I will chew the food and process it for you, and he's like, what? Does that happen in this movie?
Yeah.
Wow, I have definitely rented this movie as a child.
Yeah, I did not know that was fucking Tim. That's
I would
crazy.
love to own a VHS copy of Psycho Goreman. I think that
wouldn't that be
really interesting for them to do.
Do you know that they're doing that for Alien Romulus is getting a VHS release?
Really?
Yeah. So I wonder, like, it's like VHS is like kind of coming back because there's like VHS collectors out there now that are, and there's like VHS stores in New York. And when you were in New York, I was telling you like, hey, there's like Kim's Video.
Yeah, I did not have enough fucking time.
I understand.
Don't even get me started on that.
No, I understand. I'm not trying to bring it up to be like, you could have done so much more cool stuff. But like VHS is like cassette tapes. Like if anyone collects like, music, cassette tapes have had a comeback for like years now. Like I have a friend that's in a band who regularly releases cassette tapes. And I'm just like, what? Who has a cassette player? What is this? But it's a cool like piece of ephemeral like media to own.
Reject modernity, embrace tradition.
Exactly. And it's like, does it sound better? No. It's just cool.
It's
and it has like a nostalgia like tinge. Yeah, the novelty of it. Exactly. Yeah.
So do we
talk about the movie
yeah,
yet?
talk
or-
about the movie.
Do we? Yeah. Do you want to start like a run through?
So
Yeah.
I know that at the beginning of the movie it gives you a voice.
Right. We get like a voiceover that's man, I don't remember a single word of it, but it's basically saying like, long ago in these galaxies there were these
Can we
guys
drop that
fighting.
in here? I'm sure they'd do it better than us. Are we allowed
I might
to?
get content ID.
Yeah, we don't want to get caught.
I used to do stuff like that, and then when I started uploading to YouTube, all that stuff gets copyright struck, and I have to mute it. Yeah, we'll cut this out. I said that so many times on the TV Glow episode with me and Courtney because we kept like getting stun locked.
I wish that I had the stories that or the answers that you get to your questions are never going to be topped by what happened with Courtney. It's like, you're my little baby. At like 7 years later, what the fuck? That is the most insane shit ever, dude.
That's real. She told me that story before
real.
we recorded, so I was like, I'm going to cue you up to say that story.
Fucking crazy, dude.
Oh, that story that she told
Yeah.
is great. And the music and everything. And
Yeah.
I almost, when I met her today, said,
Yeah.
are you Vegeta's daughter? But I was like, she doesn't know. That's just
Just like meeting her for the first time, she might have been a little weirded out. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Let's
so
not
good.
have that guy.
Let's start parasocial relationships now.
Yeah. I can begin with my plot summary though.
Let's hear that.
Yeah,
But
let's go.
There was a all-powerful intergalactic being who was a purge on the galaxy. He was bent on eradicating all life. This band of paladins, this religious cult, banded together, and they sealed away his source of power and sealed him away and put him on a remote planet where they thought he would never be found.
Right.
The movie begins. Mimi and her brother Luke play a game of crazy ball. Winner becomes ruler of the galaxy. Loser gets buried in the backyard. Luke loses and is forced to dig a hole. Mimi brags about putting both their beds together to form a super bed. Once he's been buried, Luke discovers a glowing pink gem encased in a device. Mimi uses Eeny, Miny, Mo to release the gem from the device. They try to seal the hole they dug in the backyard. Later that night, Luke asks if the noise they heard was Grandma. Mimi replies, I told you before, Grandma is in hell forever.
Yeah, when she said that, I was fucking cracking up.
Yeah.
It was so fucking funny. She's got the most unhinged lines. I'm curious if she ad-libbed those.
And I feel like that's kind of setting the tone
Yeah.
for the movie. The brother is definitely the straight man, the the beta to, or I guess in a way. And I feel like that's such a fun part of the dynamic because you have this super shitty brat of a kid who somehow is just still so charismatic that it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
So they both decide that they're going to try to find what climbed out of the hole. In the morning, their parents are with them. The dad is told that he needs to steal the hole. This is a very important note. Hurts his hand immediately, so he can't bury
That's
the
right.
hole.
The dad is so fucking useless in this movie. I forgot about that.
I want to shout out the dad really fast because,
Yeah.
like, I feel like if Mimi rubs you the wrong way, maybe you won't appreciate the dad. But I thought the dad was doing such a good job too. I like every single line he had cracked me the fuck up so good.
So it's interesting because there's another movie that they did called The Editor, which I've recommended to you before. It's actually like a spoof Giallo movie.
Oh, okay.
And he plays the main character in that movie, and he's just super dark and brooding. So to see this contrast between this goofy dad and this other like,
And he's like super sardonic in this,
yeah. So it's really interesting to see his depth of playing these different roles.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. So Mimi and her brother Luke set out to go find what came out of the hole. Previously in the night, a band of thieves holed up in a shoe factory. Psycho Goreman, who is not named Psycho Goreman yet, discovers these thieves. He kills two of them. One of them begs to not be killed. He tells him then he'll live for eternity. Mimi and Luke discover the shoe factory where they encounter Psycho Goreman, who smells their fear. When he's about to assault them, Mimi tells him to stop. During this time, you find out that the gem that she previously took actually controls Psycho Goreman.
Right.
And so now we have this crazy child in charge of the most powerful being in the universe.
The Archduke of Nightmares, which she now renames Psycho Goreman.
PG.
Yes, some of the names that they come up with are Dark Lord of Smooches. There's a variety. They workshop the names together. It's a really great scene.
Yeah.
The next day they go to school. This is when we meet the character Alistair, who is Luke's best friend and Mimi's crush.
I forgot about
Yeah.
I watched this at the end of August, so that's it's been a minute. I'm sorry.
So I've watched this movie probably like 7 times. I've really championed this film a lot.
I remember.
So I had this movie the entire time I was in China. Well, not the entire time. I was given it by a friend, had it on a drive, never watched it, got back, watched it with a friend of mine, and just ever since I've been really pushing for this film because I feel like it's just such an interesting thing. If you're an 80s, 90s kid.
I remember you got back into your apartment or your the rental home, yeah. And
rental home really throw it in there.
Shut the fuck up. Anyways,
I'm a millennial. I can't buy my house.
Damn it. Shut up, Alex. Anyways, I came over. I remember I came over and you're like, hey man, have you heard of this movie Psycho Goreman? And it just like came up in conversation. I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. It's like, you need to watch this film. It's so fucking good. Like, yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I had another friend there too, John, and we were all talking about it. I think him and his wife had watched it too, and they're big movie people. I really respect their opinion. So to hear them champion the movie too, I was pretty happy. So Alistair is a friend of Luke and Mimi's crush. Yeah. They introduce this character. Mimi is infatuated with him, tells him that he's cute, and asks him to do a little spin. He refuses, to which Mimi knocks the homework out of her brother's hand and then runs into class. So, a little taste of the tism right there. So they tell Alistair about this guy that they found. Luke's forced to carry a TV out to the shoe factory. Mimi, Alistair, and Luke all go there. Then ask Psycho Goreman for his backstory. They want to know how he came to be. And he explains that he lived on a planet called Gygax and was enslaved by these Paladins Obsidian, this religious cult that's taking over the universe. And he was forced to work as a slave. This is before time, before anything. And while he was working, he discovered the gem of Firaxis, which is this special gem forged with the darkest energies from the galaxy. And he took the gem into himself and became all powerful. He starts a rebellion against the Paladins Obsidian. He doesn't just take back Gygax, but he decides to wage this war against them with this group. I'm spacing on what the name of his homies are.
I've got it. It is the Paladin Obsidian.
This movie is convoluted in the best ways. So please be patient.
I mean, it's trying to be. It's
got this big, overarching sci-fi plot that it's kind of using as a contrivance to just have cool guys in suits fight,
and that's the best thing is, so he continues this story and you've seen some amazing visuals.
Oh, yeah.
Of him like on top of a pile of bodies with this guy's carcass and he punches the dude's face in. He's on this giant robot. He's stomping these people. He's, all these guns are going off. And then you're really taking in these amazing visuals that are, some of it's clay animation, some of it's, some CG work, but it's all practical enhanced with CG.
Yeah,
it's really, really spectacle.
Yeah.
But then it's interrupted when Mimi says that the story's boring and decides that she wants to leave.
Yeah.
But they leave a television for PG to watch and take off. PG uses the TV to get a message back to his friends to let them know that he's now awake and that they need to come find him. The TV starts to bleed. Then we continue to back home. The mom couldn't cook because she was so busy burying the hole in the backyard that the dad was forced to cook, and he's made a beautiful meal of microwave chicken for the family.
Well, his hand hurts.
Yes.
But he's so proud of how hard he worked to make this meal.
This beautiful meal.
And it's clearly a bad meal. And he also destroyed the microwave in the process. And she's like, oh my God, what happened in here? And he goes, you're welcome.
The way that he says it is pretty special. There's a lot of line delivery from the dad that's really good.
Oh, he lays it on so thick. It's so good.
And so Alistair and Luke go to play video games. Mimi's forced to play by herself. So she summons Psycho Goreman to play with her in the backyard. This is when the parents see Psycho Goreman. She introduces him to him. The mom tries to hit Psycho Goreman with a bat. The dad's upset, runs out there, you think, to defend his family. He's actually mad that the bat got broken.
This is where Alistair gets...
Is this where he gets
yeah. So, it's right before the parents go running out.
Yeah. Mimi says, they were not playing with me. And he says, I once helped this prince seduce the moon princess on this planet. I can help you out. And she says, yeah. And he turns Alistair into a giant brain. Yep. A pretty much flying spaghetti monster, but he's grounded.
With like little tentacles and eyes, yeah.
And so...
Which he remains the entire film.
He's not the entire movie. Yeah.
So the parents are introduced to PG, and she tells him, don't be afraid. Tells the parents, don't be afraid. He's not going to do anything. And he keeps repeating, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you.
The moment I get
I'm going to kill you. Yeah. Is that fades into a musical montage, which is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, where we are serenaded with a song called Frick Off.
Yes.
During
Which
this
sounds
montage,
very, very similar to Rebel Yell.
God, I forgot
Yes.
about fucking Frick Off.
so during this whole thing, you see all these Annie antics. So Frick Off is Mimi playing, singing, her brother on guitar, Psycho Goreman on drums, and her mom playing bass or something, I believe. And as the song begins, PG accidentally starts the drums too early, and you see Mimi give him the angriest look and shakes her head in just annoyance that I love. There's some really little gems in this scene that are great. So as this goes on, you see them, like playing dress up, doing some slapstick shenanigans.
All right, this is where we get our fun little like kids movie montage. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like fun stuff. Like the dad goes to like steal a cookie out of the jar. A hand comes out of the jar and pulls his face into the cookies, some stuff. But my favorite of all of this, that if it's a blink and you'll miss a moment, is a little girl is on her bike and sees Psycho Goreman and she says, "Nice Halloween costume, asshole." And he turns around, he's eating ice cream, and he looks at her and she just explodes into gore. And the movie just continues. It just doesn't, just another thing that happens in their day. So after the song concludes, they're all eating french fries. Mimi steals Luke's french fries. This is when PG notices a rift forming between Mimi and Luke. It also needs to be noted that PG does not know Luke's name. Well, he does, but he never remembers it. Yeah. This is a thing throughout the movie that pops up over and over again. He just, will be in all these situations with him and he just never remembers.
He just can't name him,
yeah. He enters Luke's dream, which is this nightmare where he's in a bed in a graveyard.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And these zombies are crawling up and he pretty much comes to him and says, "Hey, get me the gem and I'll spare your life." And the brother is actually so afraid of Mimi that he will not do this. And so he tells him no. He said, "Okay. Well, we have to wait for this dream to conclude." So they literally just sit there in awkward silence while these zombies crawl around on the floor. The next day, they go to play crazy ball with Alistair, Luke, Mimi, and PG at a park. This is when PG's dressed as
Sam Neill
in
Jurassic Park. Yeah.
During this, they explain the rules of crazy ball, which are very convoluted, but there's an important thing called the switcheroo that you need to know about, which is if your balls collide and you punch the other person before they punch you, you win the game. No one ever understands the rules of crazy ball except for Luke and Mimi. While they're at the park, the police show up. They fire at PG. PG uses his dark powers to possess one of the cops and turn him into Biocop, a living dead cop who is perpetually trying to kill himself but is unsuccessful in that.
Frequently just firing off a round. Just at random.
So they're in the woods. This is when the Paladin's Obsidian finally arrive.
Yes.
And PG says, "This little kid has my gem. Let's kill her." And then you find out that the Paladin's Obsidian, who are... how would you guys describe some of these characters?
Yeah, let's set them up, because this is probably the best scene in the movie, and it's
they're a conglomeration of evil Power Ranger villains. That's how I felt about it.
Absolutely.
Isn't one a mummy?
Well, they're all different things. So one of them is literally a gravestone with flowers coming out of them.
Yes.
One's like a washing machine full of body parts.
Yeah, which is voiced by Rich Evans
of Red Letter Media
You're
fame.
Kidding me?
Yeah, and it even employs this iconic, "Oh my god!"
I didn't put two and two together.
There's a guy who's a robotic, what was his name?
Oh yeah,
Cassius.
Yes, Cassius. He looks like a bronze statue robot thing.
Yeah, he's got a little the bird.
Oh, he has the talking bird. Yeah.
What's that movie? The Greek movie.
Caligula.
The Greek movie with the bird. It's not 300, is it?
No,
it's not talking bird in 300.
No. Clash of the Titans. From the original Clash of the Titans.
God, okay.
I wouldn't have pulled that.
I think you guys just look at me like I was just some asshole.
Way too broad.
I'm sorry. So
there's one that's like a Japanese witch looking lady. Yeah, she's like the witch master or something, I think is her name.
I think her name is Witchmaster.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Are there any other
There's
major...
the bony guy who's wearing the crown and everything.
Oh, so, that's right. Yeah.
You find out is that they all got sick of him being the leader. They said, so they made this deal that they could rule their planet.
Right,
and
they have
can
an agreement
all take
with
turns.
the Templars, where they get to rule this little tiny moon, and they all take turns, and they all share it equally, and they're happy with this arrangement, and they don't actually want Psycho Goreman to come back into power, so they decide not to kill Mimi and take the gem. But that means they decide they're going to kill Psycho Goreman, and so Mimi initially doesn't let him fight back, because he tried to get her killed. But finally, like, she relents and says, like, fine, you can fight back.
She begs him for an apology.
Oh, that's right. He has to apologize that he's getting beat up. Yeah.
The movie continues to do this thing where there's these really powerful scenes with big soundtracks playing, and then it'll give you that scene separated from the music. So you're seeing Psycho Goreman being whipped and beaten and everything. This is really big music playing, and then it just cuts to no music, just them whipping him, and it just feels so flaccid and flat and so funny.
And they hang on it for like comedic effect, for a moment. Yeah.
This will happen during some of the crazy ball scenes. They'll have that really big music playing. Yeah. It's really epic, and them jumping through the air, and then it'll be
lots of like, fluid editing, and then it just like cuts to like a wide shot of like everyone going, what the fuck is happening?
So during this, PG apologizes, and so she gives him his powers back and the ability to fight back. She does a very funny, like a magical girl twirl as she powers up the stone. It's visually really, really fun to see. And he rips the clothes off, fights them. So he's got like a unique death for each character, so pretty fun to watch. At the end of it, he gets stabbed, and it turns out one of the blades had this special poison with him, and if he doesn't get the gem back, he'll die. Yeah. He decides to contact their father.
While he's on the toilet?
Would you like to describe?
So the dad's like getting ready to take a shit. I'll just be frank. And he's in the bathroom sitting down. I think he's bitching about the wife.
He's having a fight, preparing for a fight. No, you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He's like psyching himself up for it. And then all of a sudden, Psycho Goreman's face just like manifests in the bathroom in front of him and starts screaming, "Ah, you have to find me!" And he screams like, "I'm in the woods at this thing." And the dad is like, falls into the bathtub screaming. And he's like, "Ah, ah, ah." And he's like, "I don't know where that is." And then Psycho Goreman comes roaring back. "Whoa, it's off of this road. You have 3 miles this way." Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, "Ah, ah." So eventually the dad presumably gets back up and drives out there because he shows up in the pickup truck and picks up the kids and loads Psycho Goreman up in the back.
So something that's been going on in the background during all this is
the Templars.
Yeah,
Pandora.
The Templars, they're like the mightiest Templar of them, Pandora, who sealed Psycho Goreman away.
Well, did you reference the like council of like the aliens that are watching everything transpire with Pandora? Like that's a great little like gag that's happening.
So while this has all been transpiring, this council that helped seal him away initially, they're like, "How did this happen? Like, we had the most complicated code for this thing. How some genius must have broken him free." So they call on Pandora. Pandora says that she's going to go there and finally finish him. Yeah. So she summons a human from Earth because she needs to disguise herself, puts them into a tiny ball where they
or a cube thing that just shrinks down until she becomes a meat cube.
Yeah, so at first she's talking about how holy and great she is, and then you see her just murder this person and then rub their blood all over her face.
You realize she's just like a religious zealot. Was the cure for Psycho Goreman worse? Than the disease kind of thing.
So she goes to Earth, but she assumes the form of this human that she killed. So what ends up happening is they go back home. Pandora's there. She's talked to the mom, and the mom is sided with Pandora. The dad is with Mimi, and they essentially say, "Hey," she asked for them to give the gem so she can kill PG. Mimi and her dad side with PG. They take him and drive back to the shoe factory. Pandora gives a portion of her power to the mother so that they could fight PG.
Yeah, she gets conscripted and turned into...
Makes her like a mini Templar.
Yeah. So there's something really important we forgot to talk about. Guys,
is it the Hunky Boys?
We've skipped over the Hunky Boys.
Yeah.
So
I was waiting for that to pop up.
When Alistair and them visit PG in the shoe factory, Mimi brings him, she says, "Sorry we couldn't find any porno mags for you, but I did bring you some magazine with some hunky boys."
Yeah.
And PG gets upset and he tells her that he does not care for hunky boys and knocks the magazine out of her hand. Opens on a page of a scantily clad man, and PG takes it in, and he wonders, or does he care about hunky boys?
It's the most important part of the movie.
I mean, like...
It was in the trailers, dude. Like, that's how it got sold to me. You're wearing the fucking shirt. It's that iconic.
No one can see me. I am wearing a Hunky Boys shirt right now.
With PG on it.
So I wanted to come in theme. Big battle goes to happen at the shoe place. Pandora and the mother transforms show up. Luke's kind of stuck in the middle of this. He doesn't know which side to pick. Battle starts to ensue, but PG's been weakened. He can't fight. So
yeah, his buddies fucked him up.
Yeah, so he has to find another way to fight back, and the only way, he gets to pick the way that, per the code of the Templars, how his final battle, will be decided. So, of course, he picks Crazy Ball. Mm-hmm. Crazy Ball's explained to him. No one understands what's going on. It's really a big scene between Luke and Mimi, and during the climax of it, Luke says, you're really hard on me and you're my sister and I care about you, but essentially, you just don't know when to stop and it's too much. And, Mimi doesn't really know what to do with this. There's a point where so they win the crazy ball game and there's a tussle and Mimi pulls out the Luke killer and you think that she's gonna finish the job, and she ends up dropping it and she begins to sing,
starts belting
frick off. And it's this heartfelt moment where she just starts singing it by herself. This moment, if you don't have an appreciation for kids movies like this or moments, I can understand why you think this was cringy or weird, but it is so well done. And you also realize that even though they played this song a million times, probably been forced, but PG does not know the lyrics when they ask him to sing along. Singing the song to Luke somehow convinces Luke to return the gem to...
It has the effect of an apology on him.
To Mimi. And so the gem gets returned. She returns it to Psycho Goreman. He is finally able to restore himself to his power. Pandora produces her special sword and says, I don't need to understand this game to kill you. And he says, okay. She says, you're not going to be able to fight me back because you don't have your own sword. And he says, I'll make one. So then we're treated to a montage of him ducking and diving Pandora as he rips pieces from her to form a greasy flesh sword.
It is so grotesque. Like we can't put into detail like how gross it is, where he's just like reaching into her body from different angles and like grabbing organs and things to build this sword.
So they end up fighting. Finally, he bests Pandora. During the fight, Mimi can't bring herself to vocally apologize to Luke, but they both speak Morse code, which is how she told him that their grandmother is in hell.
That's right.
And so she actually says, I'm sorry through Morse code, which,
she says like, I can't say it, but, and then starts knocking.
Yeah. Which is actually a pretty touching moment for both of them.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, the father said he hurt his hand. He actually ends up high-fiving Psycho Goreman and breaks his hand. Yeah. During, this is right after the crazy ball fight.
And not an internal break, like the bones sticking out of the skin.
Yeah.
And shit.
Yes,
it's nasty.
This is very gnarly. There's a thing that Psycho Goreman will do, which is an honor death where he'll consume someone. She makes some comments using his title as the Archduke, and he finally accepts the title. He says, my name is Psycho Goreman, which he replies, that's a beautiful name. It's then that Pandora is consumed by Psycho Goreman. Some people are watching in terror. Some people are watching in fascination. The family leaves. PG then exits and he tells them that he's going to destroy the planet minus the family because he doesn't need the gem anymore, it turns out. He removes the gem and gives it to Phoebe. He says, I don't need this anymore because he's now found the power of love.
He explains the family taught him this, and it's just, I think even they're kind of confused by this.
Yeah, seem a little confused. The father's begging to go to the hospital. They all hug and embrace. Finally, things are kind of resolved. He says goodbye to the family, and he enters a portal into downtown somewhere and just starts lobbing fireballs.
Right, just destroying buildings and killing people.
Then we get a song as the credits roll, which is like almost like the Ninja Turtles song, which kids movies had. They always had like a song that told you about.
It's like a very like cheesy like late 80s early 90s rap that's just describing the plot, like the events of the movie.
Well, they're bringing it back because they did it in Venom.
Oh my god,
because what's his name?
Eminem.
Venom. He loved that song. He was really fucking feeling it.
I bet. Yeah.
Monster Squad has a Monster Squad like rap song too. We used to sing the Ninja Turtles one all the time when I was a kid. It was I think the movie we talked about earlier has one.
Which one?
The
Star Kid?
Yeah, Star Kid. I think probably has one too.
I'm going to tell you, I have no fucking idea.
So as the credits are rolling, we get a scene of Alistair getting home and
having
getting
dinner
a family
with the family.
dinner. Yeah, having family dinner. His family has either just come to accept that this is the way that it is or they don't care.
No one remarks on like his brain transformation the whole movie, but it's played straight.
Yeah. Well, except for Mimi being like, no, I like you like this.
Well, yeah.
In the background, there's a television with Psycho Goreman. The news is reporting that there's like a 30-foot high giant purple man destroying downtown and no one...
Also naked. They specify naked, I noticed.
Naked. And that's the movie.
That's the film.
I love it so dearly. I can't say it tickles just the right childhood things, but it also, the fascination that the movie has with the gore.
Yeah.
And it is just like puts it to this next level where I feel like it's a real melding of your childhood and a more adult horror movie.
Yeah.
Jared, you said that the director was originally a costume designer or
Makeup artist.
Makeup artist.
Yeah, so I imagine he was very involved in a lot of the
Had to have been
the visual effects that are on. They're all pretty much on screen, because all of the. No, I don't think any of the creatures are CGI. There
None
might
of
be
them
some.
are. There's
I mean,
some
with
effects
the budget
that are
is so
CGI.
low, I can't imagine. But they're all like clearly like wearing like foam rubber suits that are like kind of designed.
You
and
can
like,
tell like he knew what he was doing, because a lot of that, a lot of it does evoke this like 80s 90s aesthetic going for it, and like the only way you can get that is from somebody who like has a love for the craft.
Really.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the Void. The only reason why I'm bringing up the Void is because I literally watched it like last week while I was in my hotel room, because I love that movie. It's great. And like,
but that's another where the budget, you could tell
exactly.
Like,
that's what I was going to say.
So much of it, you would not know that movie.
The practical effects in the Void, like you can absolutely see where the two movies are related to each other purely from the director, because you said that he directed the Void as well,
right? Yeah,
and like a lot of the practical effects look very reminiscent, and the gore very reminiscent of this film. So like, that's cool. I didn't realize that they were tied to each other. I like literally just watched the Void.
That's so funny. You saw that more recently than Psycho Goreman. I did want to add too that like there are three child actors like prominently in this film.
Yeah.
But they were not allowed to be on set during all the gory scenes.
Really?
Yeah. So all of like the gory stuff happens without them in frame.
Yeah.
But they had like adult stand-ins for them off camera. And but yeah, the kids were forbidden from set when they were doing like the gory stuff.
Those kids are so good.
Yeah,
they were good. The family,
great.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I know that it, like, when you hear an indie movie, it's a little bit difficult to be, but these kids, I hope to see more stuff with them because they did such a good job.
I checked in on like the two kids and then the parents, and I don't really know anything else they've done really. And I was kind of shocked, like, oh, these are just like kind of just like some regular indie movie actors that haven't really hit it big. Like Psycho Goreman, I think, is the biggest movie for all four of them. I was kind of surprised, but like they nailed it. Like particularly Mimi and the dad.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
standouts.
There's talks that there is a potential sequel, and I hope if this appeals to you guys in any way, listeners, like please check this movie out.
It's on Shudder.
Yeah, Psycho Goreman. Go check it out. Yeah.
If you want, just go look at the trailer. I'm sure it'll whet your appetite for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening this far, you know the whole movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean,
like, give it a listen.
Yeah,
you know what?
Cannot
do
invoke,
the dishes, but leave this movie on just so it's getting watches.
There you go.
I was gonna say if you liked this film, or if you've liked movies like Turbo Kid, or there's another movie that came out.
Oh, Turbo Kid is very much in the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the 2016 film Colossal?
Yes,
with Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
I've always meant to see it. I never got around
Anne Hathaway.
to it. Anne Hathaway is the lead. Yeah,
another film that is very, very reminiscent of this one. Not necessarily like the plot and stuff, but the absurdity of both of those films reminded me of Psycho Goreman. Specifically Turbo Kid. Turbo Kid was like 100% like I would be shocked if it was the same director.
It's funny to say because I feel like with Colossal, it's about an abusive relationship and giant monsters.
Yeah,
but it's the healthy way to get out of that relationship. This movie is not that.
No, it's doubling down. Like it's seeing somebody being like, I can make them worse. You know,
it's amazing to me just that she breaks into the scene, because you're getting this really emotional moment from the brother, and it's almost kind of like condescending and kind of just like, fuck you.
Frick off. Yeah. I think, but like that's Mimi as a whole. Like she is genuine in her actions, but she's just a bad little bratty kid. And so being soft or caring is not in her nature, and she has to find inventive ways to show that she cares.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that's clever. The whole movie is very clever. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you watched it and you guys all enjoyed it. I would put it, I'm a bit of a movie snob, I'd say.
No.
But it's definitely in my top 10. It's definitely in my top 10 movies.
Name one movie you didn't like.
Oh, he didn't like The Last Jedi. We're not getting
Wait,
into
what?
it. Yeah, we're not gonna get into it.
We
though.
can't litigate that here?
No.
Hold on.
Yeah, haha. You thought it was gonna be an ambush for me, but haha, I got you. Just kidding. It's all good. It's okay. It's all good. Did you
I have so many questions.
You can ask them after the pod's over with. Did you ever see Turbo Kid or Colossal?
You know what? I made it like halfway through Turbo Kid. Colossal's been on my
guys,
server for
Palpatine
years.
is back, baby. Come on.
Yeah.
For some reason, Palpatine's back. How could you not like that movie?
That's the next one that
was
everyone
the
agrees
It's the
sucks.
better movie. It's the better.
That movie fucking sucks.
Somehow,
unfortunately.
The
Palpatine
Rise of
returns.
Skywalker still sucks.
But
No, I know that movie sucks, but Palpatine's back.
so not good. I remember like seeing that movie in theaters and like really trying to like find reasons
Just
to
like
like
white knuckling it as a fan, just being like, "It's fine,
Dude,
everything's fine."
I saw it for my birthday. This is like right before the pandemic.
Oh, man.
you know, like
Yeah.
it was so unfortunate.
I've been blessed. Like every big movie that's coming on my birthday that I'm excited for has been great. And the most recent one being like The Batman, the Matt Reeves one.
Yeah.
I was so fucking
Do you know what's coming
happy.
out on my birthday this year?
What's that?
The fucking Lion King movie, the prequel Mufasa.
Oh no!
Yeah, hold on,
that
and-
Barry Jenkins is doing.
Yes.
Oh.
That one and something else, and I remember being like, me and Ezra are going to the fucking drive-in because it's gonna be Sonic 3 comes out on my birthday. Sonic, yeah, with fucking Keanu Reeves Shadow, and like I'm like, oh dude, my birthday's gonna fucking rule.
Dude,
we're going to the drive-in.
Your son is gonna have such a good day.
I'm gonna get wasted as fuck, and I'm just gonna ruin both those movies for my kid.
Oh god.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, it's Barry Jenkins. He's not going to turn in slop, but I'm just like,
here's the thing,
oh, buddy.
Like, when I've seen both these films, we're not going to review either of them. Maybe Sonic, maybe. But the Mufasa film, from what I've seen, has got me so fucking pissed off. It's got me so mad.
People have been like going at him on Twitter about it, and he's like been defending it.
It's a job.
I know.
You got to
It's
make
like,
the money.
Let
you
him
know?
get the bag.
Yeah.
But, man.
Let's just let him get it. Yeah.
Maybe by doing one for them, so to speak,
That's
like
what I was thinking.
allows him the opportunity to make another Moonlighter.
It's
if
funny
Bill
to me when
Shook
I hear
talk.
people like, it's like Disney's some kind of corporation just churning these movies out to make money.
No
It's like-
way.
It's like they don't care about the thing; they just care about the product making money. It's like, they're the biggest like fucking corporation ever.
To be fair, to play devil's advocate here, they used to have more artistic merit than they
Oh, you're
do.
an Eisner stan. That's what you are.
I don't care about the fucking whoever the CEO is at any of that shit. I don't.
Sorry,
buy into
Jared.
that.
It's your turn. It's your turn. We got to
Yeah,
get on you
let's
now. Get him. Fuck him up.
Kathleen Kennedy is ruining movies for me.
Oh my god!
Why did he take out that MAGA hat and put that on?
I know, like,
weird.
I'm sorry, Jared.
That's right. We always joke. Debaser is pivoting alt-right now. We're
Yeah,
grift,
that's
we're
where the
grifting,
money's
baby.
at,
Grift time,
guys.
baby.
Make podcasts great again.
That's where the money's at.
God, honestly, apparently that money dried up though, because like Russia
It's
was
gonna be
paying
called
him anymore.
all of these podcasts millions of dollars.
Her, a
Debase
female hate podcast.
Oh my God.
It's just bitching about Brie Larson for 2 hours.
there you go.
Oh, actually, Alex, that's a great fucking idea.
That's
Why
it.
didn't we start doing that?
Then the money will roll in.
It's funny because this ties into the next movie we're going to talk about. So
That's
there
right.
you go.
We got to debase her. Exactly. That's so fucking good.
Oh my god. Well, listen. Okay, jokes aside, it is
Yeah.
always Pride Month on Debaser. We are not pivoting like this. These are jokes.
We have an LGBTQIA icon in Psycho Goreman. He does care about hunky
This
boys.
is true. Presumably, I believe his pronouns are he, him,
Yes.
and he's into hunky boys. So
That's
this
right.
does mean that Psycho Goreman is not cis.
Yep.
Boom.
The man is a gay icon.
That's right.
We stan Psycho Goreman.
Look, love is love. He's powered by love. I would like to say he's using the LGBTQ agenda to kill these people.
That's true. He's
This
toppling
is the future
patriarchy.
liberals
Yeah.
way.
That's the future. I'm down for it. Big purple daddy stepping on me. I'm okay with it.
It's a good way to go.
January 6th would have gone down a lot different if Psycho Goreman was in us. Well, folks, that's been our show. Thank you for listening to Debaser. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app and follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. Our guest today has been Alex. Alex, where can people find you? Do you have anything to plug?
You can find me on Instagram. My tag is Molten Hot Magna.
Hell yeah.
I have a private account, but if you want, send me an ad. Let me know you heard me on the podcast. I'd love to talk to you guys. So.
Yeah. Invite only. It's at your discretion to allow people to follow.
There you go.
And my wonderful co-host is Will. Will, where can people find you? And do you have anything to plug?
You can find me at pocket_infinity on Instagram. I don't really have anything to plug. I did go to the Museum of Natural History while I was in New York.
Yeah.
It was a great time. I took a bunch of pictures. If you know me, I love dinosaurs, so most of the pictures are just dinosaur bones. And yeah, it was great.
All right, well, for the Debaser podcast, I'm Jared. Goodbye. Debaser is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. Want to email the show? Send it to
debaserpod@gmail.com.
Want to help us out? Please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, especially Apple Podcasts. If you write a 5-star review of Debaser on Apple Podcasts, I may read your review in a future episode. Thanks for listening, and take care out there.